it's quite a bittersweet moment. And I was saying to my roommate, this man that I live with, when we were reading the tributes, and I think that the City Press did a fabulous job of just going to people who have interacted with the former Deputy Chief Justice, from his brother Dikgang, who is a very good friend of mine, to his own friends, the author and well-known businessman Peter Vundla also added his contribution. And I said, when you look at this, there are lessons here. When you step down, you want people to scramble for you. You want people to say, we can't wait to pay tribute to this man. So I added my name on the long list of people who were deserving and were desperate for interviews. And we're just grateful that you could accommodate us. Good morning to you and welcome.
Didi, Redi Dumela.
Good morning to you. How do you feel? I mean, you knew you were stepping down. How did you think this was going to play out in the public's minds? And is reality anywhere close to what you imagined?
I must admit, I am a little surprised. I've always enjoyed the love of our people, even when I was quite active. I've told the stories of me walking into a supermarket in Pretoria. Moseneke dumela. Awsabona baba. And even a bit of Afrikaans. Môre regter, môre dankie wat regter doen. So I've always known that I am well liked within our community. I would walk in Balito somewhere and somebody would walk up to me and give me something. Mm-hmm. And so on and so on. So it has been, but of course I didn't expect to trend for 3 days.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect to have so many selfies and so many pictures and so much outpouring of love, standing ovations and full capacity dinners and court sittings and name it. So I'm thankful to our people. I truly don't take that for granted. But yes, I am a little surprised. We understand that there are laws, there are rules and regulations that govern the terms of justices like yourself. Already people are preparing themselves to shed tears when Thuli Madonsela steps down in October. And I said, hold on, people, you cannot ask for the law to be changed to accommodate the person whom you love, because then you must accept the same argument when it's somebody that you don't love or that you don't that you don't respect. But do you accept that there is some sadness in our hearts as well? Because I think it's more a reflection of the void within the nation, the desperation for leadership. Really, fixed terms are good things.
Mm-hmm.
And I had something to do with the Constitution. When people wield much power in the public space, you don't want them to be there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully you'll get the best of their years in office. And therefore you want to give them a finite time in which to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we were then all preaching non-renewable terms.
Yes.
Something wonderful, because if you're a public protector, you have a 7 non-renewable term. Nobody could say, if you behave, I might extend your term. You don't want to position yourself in a way that you might keep on being in office. So it's a good thing. And Africa should follow this. And I say it quite often, judges have their terms, they take them in a stride and they go. No wara. But look what has happened on the continent. So this is a good thing. And sadness there will be, but the public value of fixed terms is quite a plain one.
Mm-hmm.
You go in, have your innings, and give way for other people to contribute, because it's a privilege which you ought not to keep forever.
You've said that you can't imagine your life now without being a judge of this court. When I try to rewind and think about these 15 years as a judge, I'm unable to think of something that would have filled up my life and impute to it in the way that my role has proven to be. It's all very well for us to talk about the high-profile cases that came before the Constitutional Court
And many of us were fascinated because we don't get to interact with the work of the court on an everyday basis. So when there's an opportunity to see all of you in your ugly green gowns, to see you all on television, we absolutely get fascinated. But the behind the scenes work, the cases that affect ordinary people, the cases that do not make big headlines, those are the ones that define our nation. How did you approach those?
Redi, thank you. And thank you for taking me there, because most people would inevitably think that our importance and role lies in the political ones. Let me tell you, that's 5% of our workload. 95% of our workload we do quietly in the background. Let me give an idea. Every single case you read about, perhaps, and many others you haven't read about, tend to end up with us, people asking for leave to appeal. You can be sure that Jackie Tlhabi, it's more the public end, will end up with us. You can be sure that Mark Shuttleworth will end up with us. You can be certain that abahlali basemjondolo who are being evicted, from a place where the municipality might want to do something else, will end up with us. The textbooks that are missing in Limpopo, they'll come to us. And there would be access to water in Zola and Pefeni came out to us. So those are not blockbusters, particularly for you news hounds. But they're quite important. And in the back scenes, when I look at the judgments I have written, they've been around terrains of dignity, of equal worth. Think about Mayor who wants to become a traditional leader in Limpopo, and the men say, no, you're a woman. We wrote things like that. No, we can't have women leaders, traditional leaders and so-called chiefs. Nwamita, we wrote issues about consent in a customary union. Do you need the consent of the new wife? Our answer was yes. She can't wake up to find somebody else in the relationship without ubaba going to say, Ke kgopela go nyala mosadi o mong. It was phenomenal because we really were saying, even in a customary union setting, these are people and they are worthy of respect and of consultation, to be heard, to have a voice. So those are forgot. I mean, we wrote a judgment really about inheritance. Under traditional law, only males inherited. And if your dad died and you had no brothers, it would go to your uncles. So women became perpetually poor. And we wrote judgment on those things. So, yes, there's a lot of work and footwork and hard work to move society on. And the political ones are high profile, but they're only about 5% really.
Yoliswa in Rosebank. Good morning.
Hi, Redi, how are you?
I'm great. Welcome.
I'm very moved and touched and so shaking as I made my own standing ovation in my dining room when I was watching the former Chief Justice making that statement at Concord. I'm so proud of this man. Just want to tell him he touched lives in so many ways. As a final year student, myself, a law student, I've been looking up to him. Thank you so much.
And good luck with your studies.
And Kosi Yolisa, you study, child, and you're going to be good. You're going to be well.
Thank you. But you're very passionate about empowering. I mean, I was reading one of the articles on Sunday talking about the juniors, the clerks who worked in the courts, and how you would always notice when there were not enough women around. Why is that important?
Well, it's good to be amongst women. For starters, it's just wonderful. And you have all those young ladies who come through from law school. And really, in the last 15 years, I've had over 60 young people trained under me. We're having a law clerks reunion this Saturday. So I've called all of them to say, come and tell me what you have been doing with your lives. So we're having a party at the Constitutional Court with all these young people. Yes, I mean, look what break I had. Which break I want to wish to everybody. I mean, how lucky do you get? from prison and you find all these spaces and you end up being appointed the Deputy Chief Justice of your country. I mean, it is a blessing, it's a privilege. And if we could produce enough of these young people, really, they'll make a difference. We need 500,000 of you, Redi, who would be there and move the world and feel sufficiently strong about themselves and about the collective, all of us together. So yes, it has made a difference. I go to law schools often. I've taught a lot, as you know, both at home, most of these law schools, and I've taught at universities abroad quite often. And I will go to Australia now in June. I'm going to teach in NYU, New York University Law School. I've been to Zurich University Law School. I've been to Cambridge to teach. So I will continue teaching both at home and abroad.
Mr. Vundla, Peter Vundla joins us on the line now. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Very,
very well. You wrote a beautiful tribute to your friend in the. Oh no, he's gone. Okay, we'll try and get and rescue that line and see. Typical Mr. Vundla, not knowing how to use a cell phone. I'm joking. Let's go to Mpho in Pretoria. Good morning to you, Mpho.
Good morning, Redi.
Yes, welcome.
Good morning to Dikgang as well.
Mpho, dumela.
Le gara.
No, ke tsogile motho etso.
Re tsogile khosi ya. Redi, I was privileged to be a student at Dr. W.F. Nkomo in Atteridgeville during the 80s. We were on strike, and former Deputy Justice dead, but Moseneke, ordered us to come to we gathered, co-assembly. Then he told us, guys, I thought you were intelligent. In each and every situation where there's a conflict, you sit down and talk. But if now you're starting to become rowdy and you want to break the school and what, I'm not going to listen to you. And you are not politicians. The only politician that I'll listen to, that's my son, Dikgang Moseneke. That's how I got to know the former Deputy Justice, through the death, that is Stan Moseneke. So what I'm trying to say, if that Moseneke hold you in high esteem, Redi, then you are really, really, really a man. Or a person. Let me say you are really, really a person. That's how I got to know that Dikgang Moseneke. Through.
Okay, we've heard a lot about your father, and I know that we spoke to Mama a couple of months ago when she was turning 90. DM came to visit our studios. We'll talk about her in just a moment and her influence in your life. But your dad, I mean, what do you remember about him? How has he contributed to the man that you are today?
Really, my father was a disciplinarian. He grew up an orphan. And he learned very quickly. He was about 8 when the last of the 2 parents died. And he just became this person who was so conscious about firstly being very economical in the way he lived. And he thought hard work saved everything. He really thought so. He would wake us up early in the morning. He would find out, what are you reading? Give us a summary of the book you are reading. And he became a headmaster, quite a renowned one in Atteridgeville, I must tell you, at a school called Dr. W.F. Nkomo, a secondary school and high school. Now, those who don't know Dr. W.F. Nkomo is the first president of the ANC Youth League from my place, from Atteridgeville, so it has been a hotbed of struggle, Atteridgeville. And the school was named after him, distinctions after distinctions, under apartheid. Under Bantu education. So yes, and so we had no chance to survive but to wake up, go to school. You dark school, you dead. You hear me? Dead. So he was that firm part of it. And almost zero laugh. For instance, my dad didn't believe in hugging.
Very austere, man of his times.
Go and hug your mother. Something like that. Boys don't cry. Look at you. Wipe off your tears. He was in that genre. But he left, yes, the strong the side of me, and my mother brought something else. Strength with love, I think.
Peter Vundla is back with us. We won't keep you for long because Ngari phone here for caller. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. I enjoyed reading your tribute to your friend Dikgang Moseneke. For those who didn't read it, just a summary of your life with him.
Oh, well, people should read, you know.
Peter, shouldn't you be doing something else? What are you doing here? I mean, why are you online? Huh?
Well, you know, I can't say no to Redi there.
Oh, that's the point. Okay.
Yeah, Redi, yeah, you know, in the contribution I made to City Press, I talk about how we had our joint 60th birthday party, where Dikgang made the comment that, you know, he's ready to serve the people, nothing to do with any political affiliation or party, and I do make the point that I think that's why he was twice overlooked as Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court. And I pay tribute to him, the man, you know, the gentleman, the jurist, the father, the golfer, you know, truly, you know, the archetypical gentleman, you know, true gentleman. Yeah.
Well, that's just wonderful. You're one of the many, the lucky and privileged many who are friends with the former Deputy Chief Justice. And thank you very much for talking to us, albeit briefly. Thank you.
Okay, not at all.
Peter, just tell everybody I didn't pay you a thing, and I won't pay you anything.
Is he a good golfer? Is he a good golfer? Is he any good at this sport?
Well, just for the record, I beat him on Sunday.
Golfers will always talk about the game that they won and not the many others where they were number 4.
Claims.
Actually, I've lost more than I've won. Actually.
You've lost more than you've won. Okay, that's very gracious of you to admit that. Thank you so much. You can't escape that period where there were expectations. Every time your name comes up, there were expectations that you'd be the Chief Justice. We've moved on from there, but was it sore for you? Was it painful, that period?
Really, yes, it was. Sorry, I've got a bit of a nasal drip.
It's okay.
Yes, it was. I mean, you know, I've said it in a good few interviews, and people love asking that. You know, if you'd asked me, do you want to be Chief Justice? Of course, I wanted to be. And there've been this story made, this narrative made in heaven, from the dusty streets of Attridgeville to the Chief Honcho. You know, so it would have been wonderful. But once it happened, and I thought more importantly how I responded to the hurt, to the pain. And we traversed it, both the Chief Justice Moseneke and I talked about it in the last 2 days. And in a candid and wonderful way, particularly when he came and said, well, he was clearly the one that ought to have been appointed. And I thought it was a wonderful journey to walk together, the two of us. And me acknowledging that he has found his space and he's found his role, and we have found each other. And I truly wish him well as he goes forward. But, you know, given my upbringing, immediately that happened, a little like when I was first day in jail, just been sentenced for 10 years. Mokwena, you've got to go through this. You've got to live through this. And you have to live through it in a positive way. In Robben Island, hell knows, past 3 degrees, man. Come on, get on with it, you know? So it was that capacity to convert the worst into the best. And there I was, and somebody walked up to me the other day and say, you wrote some of your best judgments after
post that period.
You brought all your passion, you know, to the job and did it as well as you could. So setbacks really tend to work out to be amazing stimuli to get us going.
And that was the lesson for me, to just get on with it. Sometimes we've got dreams, we've got goals from when we were children, and the goal is just so elusive. The dream doesn't come true, but other dreams that we can pursue. And I think that your attitude to that trying time is a lesson for all of us. Dikgang Moseneke, the former Deputy Chief Justice, is our guest, and we are going down memory lane. We're talking about lessons learned, what we can take for ourselves to build not just ourselves as individuals, but our nation as well. Moodley, you've been holding on for so long. Welcome.
Morning. It's a pleasure to hold on. How are you, Chief Justice?
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Moodley. Are you well?
Hey, I'm always well, Guy. I want to give you some good retirement advice.
Yes, I need it.
On the morning when I had my last work day, I switched off all the alarms, and I don't ever wear a wristwatch. So I'm free of the slave of time.
Switching off alarm clocks.
Oh, gone, dead. They never worked for a couple of years now. I don't know if they're still working. But I want to thank you for everything that you've done. Memorable to me is the very old SABC on your first interview, how badly they treated you. Do you recall that?
I do, with Adrian Steed.
Yes, I actually was at a show recently, and he sat behind me, and I thought, gee whiz, you're still breathing.
Moody, you're naughty, man. I don't remember that. What happened? I don't remember.
You were too young.
I'm too young. Okay, we'll let it go then. We'll let it go. But again, just rising above these difficult moments. But again, it must have hurt back in 2008. You made a speech at your birthday. Peter Wundler spoke about it. We know what you said, and you've told us what the lessons were then. I wonder what it feels like when you've sacrificed the best years of your life. You've been in prison at age 15 when other young men are doing different things. You've had to part from the warmth of your parents, your siblings, all of that. It's not nice when years later you are a counter-revolutionary, years later you are a traitor, or whatever. I mean, the labels, and I see those labels are coming back in our political discourse, and they must hurt when you have made those sacrifices.
Oh yes, no, they did hurt, and they do hurt, and when you believe you're a revolutionary, and then you attract the opposite tag. But remember, it never pushed one off the course, really. And we have a duty. Mm-hmm. I often tell my colleagues and young judges who I've been training quite a bit, when a referee blows a penalty in favor of Kaizer Chiefs, the Pirates people think she is a demon.
Yes, we do.
But when he blows for Sundowns, I'm a Sundaweni, we're truly excited. I'm a real Pretoria boy, and I'm a Sundown supporter. So, you see, human beings tend to have that narrow, limited assessment of what is the source of their trouble. And it's easy just to put on the referee. So I understood all the time, and I say to them all the time, every time we make a call, there's a bruised nose, there's a bleeding nose somewhere. And that is true in high-profile cases. It's true in smaller things. So when that came, I think it was disappointing. I think most judges, certainly, if not all, when they make calls, they're at the height of their sincerity. And let me tell you, in this country, I know as fact, most judges are patriots. They love our land, they love our people. They feel they are part of the democratic project and the big change to become a better society. So people make the best calls they can in the way they see the facts and they understand the law. And that's why we have an appellate system. It's like a sieve. A judge may very well be wrong, and the system acknowledges it up front. And that's why you have appeals right up to us. And that's why the numbers increase from 1 judge to 3 judges to 5 judges, Constitutional Court, 11 judges. So you have 11 minds looking at, and then if they're unanimous, you must be afraid. Because it means 11 judges looked at the same thing and came out with a unanimous decision. So yes, I mean, we should be careful not to put tags and appellations and all sorts of things on people. Most people in the public space try and act honestly, try and do their work. And I'm yet to find a judge who'd come out, sit there and say, I want to cheat them. I want to make an outcome that is not justified by the law and the facts. So it was unfortunate, but I think we must accept that there are many revolutionaries on the bench, and they are patriots, and they love their land, and that's how I see myself, and I've always saw myself in that way.
Some tweets and SMSs, just very quickly. There's just too many for me to read. Nombonisa says, more than service as a fine jurist, Deputy Chief Justice, it is in less known cases and his relationship with people in the court that he stands out. I once organized a round table with him on land. Participants followed him after his presentation. They argued with him. And then another SMS. In 1986, you defended me and 10 others when we were charged with terrorism. The trial took place in Bethel. The article clerk was Judge Lihodi. The attorney was Judge Mujapilu. Advocates were yourselves and Judge Mwepe. Thank you very much for what you did. God bless you. That is from Moses Mampuru. It's an SMS.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey. God.
Yeah, ne?
Mampuru was an MK cadre.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, who had been charged and arrested for Mozambique. Yeah.
Bandile in south of Johannesburg. Good morning.
Good morning, Redi. How are you?
Good. Welcome. Yeah.
I don't have a lot to say, really. All I wanted to say is that we thank Moseneke for all the hard job and work that he's done. And most of all, he must have a good life from now going forward. I know lives are going to be too different from Hannah Zatebe. Now he's going to have to look after grandchildren, and what. So I wish him all the best in that. And Mudimu Arm is the hand
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Bandile in south of Johannesburg. And that's Thabo in Pretoria. Now you want to ask legal matters, topical matters. Well, let's just see if we can accommodate that. Thabo in Pretoria, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good, yeah.
Thabo Dumela.
Dumela. Yeah, let me just say this, I'm not going to take long. I remember quite vividly. I was running around his area, and he accosted me and said to me that the shoes you are wearing, they're not proper running shoes. And I looked at him, and he went on explaining what injury they may cause to me. And I went to those people whom I was training with, and I asked that, who's this guy? And they said, no, you see, this guy is a famous lawyer. Do you see this house over this side, this big house over this side, the White House? I said, yes, it is his house. I said, yo, but this guy clearly looks quite wealthy. But anyway, the question that I wanted to ask briefly was, what actually informed his conclusion that the powers that reside in the presidency to appoint needed to be reviewed? That's my question there.
Okay, it's an ambush.
Thabo, you're talking about running shoes and then you jump up right up there. Thabo, there's an institute called Mapungubwe, and Mapungubwe hosts a lecture every year from a thought leader on a number of issues. And they asked me, what are the 4 things which, if you had an opportunity, you would change? Excuse me, in our constitution. And I wrote a piece which is published now and it is read all around the world about, and I singled out a number of things, for instance, the land question, access to socioeconomic rights and services, and I wrote about how we have dispersed power in society. In other words, as a review, as a snapshot after 20 years of experience and 15 years as a judge. And I said, well, it may be that we have concentrated power overly, appointing powers in particular. And I thought, and I justified it by looking at the Constitution, showing the provisions and the expansive powers that reside in the president. So that was the exercise. It was a prognostic. It was a forward-looking projection to say, one day, if we want to change and improve on our Constitution, here are the 4 areas I suggest. Mm-hmm. And of course, that was misunderstood to mean I'm talking about here and now, and this current president must be take less power. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with, if we revisit our Constitution, what are the areas that we must relook. I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. And there's been a lot of criticism of the Constitution itself, of the judiciary, that it's not transformed. And I remember speaking to the former late Chief Justice Chaskelson about the conversations we're having about transformation. It seems to me that we do ourselves a disservice if the topic of transformation only comes when we've got antipathy towards a particular judgment, or we are unhappy with a particular judgment, or when we reduce it to numbers, meaning the number of black people who are on the bench. But in your mind, how have you given meaning to transformation of the judiciary, and is this still a relevant conversation now?
It is relevant. Transformation has many levels and layers. The first and easy cut, which you find in the Constitution, is the judiciary must be representative of the demographics. That's commonsensical. You can't have, as in the apartheid times, all white male judiciary. That's what it was, and I practiced there. You couldn't even find a white female judge. And in my time, if there were two, there were many already. So for starters, the bench and every other sphere of the nation's life, public and private, preferably ought to be representative. It means that you're drawing fairly from your populace people to perform public functions. The Constitution requires that, and it's a requirement. So there should be enough women, there should be men, there should be geographic spread, there should be all the differences, the diversity must be reflected in the judiciary. The hope is that there will be a balance, because balanced views from different corners would come to bear on outcomes and the jurisprudence. But it remains still relevant, and the more important transformation is adherence to the new values that our society demands. And that is a function of all of us, men, women, black, white, rural, urban, wherever we come from. Because you could be as pitch black as I am and violate our Constitution all the time in a variety of ways.
Indeed.
So fidelity, faithfulness to the Constitution has nothing to do with color and race and political affiliation, and good public servants ought to be good public servants, whatever their private, political, social, religious affiliations might be. So it is the minimum set of values and rules we agree on. And there are many differences outside the Constitution, but that is the bare minimum. So in short, the judiciary must be representative. 2, the judiciary must have people who show fidelity to the law. 3, there must be suitable people. They must be fit and proper. So that is the other third element. You don't want crooks to be judges. You don't want.
Tell me about it.
You don't want hired guns to be judges. No, you want judges who pay allegiance to particular political cleavages in society. When that happens, we're in trouble. And that's all I've been trying to preach for the last 15 years.